still has his phone to his chest. This week, Jamile has made a new friend called Christina.
It's not.
So Clubhouse friends, right?
It's not.
Yeah, so he said that they're Clubhouse friends. And for me, I've seen Christina messaging him this week, especially. She messaged him, at like 1 a.m. in the morning. And what made me, feel a bit uncomfortable and look into it is the fact that to read the message alone, he had to leave the room.
Wait, I left the room. I did not leave the room.
You did leave the room. What are you gonna say? What, you going to the toilet? No. That's the sort of cheeky thing that he's like, I was going to the loo. It's not that serious.
Yeah, that'd be obvious, but I wouldn't say I just left the room. It was.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blair Book. You know what time it is. I'm talking to you guys today about, obviously, Blue Therapy once more, season 1, episode 5. But we're dealing here with Jamile and also dealing with Deborah. And what we're talking about right now is we're dealing with the issue of social media access and how we should tackle these issues when it comes to if your partner is quite a socialite. They are consistently on social media. I mean, it's no different than your partner being that person that was the sociable human being that wants to always go out and be around people. Now we get to see that in a more condensed population where people are online and they can, have access to people now differently 24/7. And so we want to talk about the effects of that on a relationship and kind of coach it a little bit as well in terms of some of the questions you might want to ask your partner if this is getting to a stage where it's affecting your relationship. But let's break it down. Before we do, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button notification of the notification of the uploads. We appreciate you. Stay locked and stay loaded. If you're new, if you're returnee, then you already know what it is. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Listen, stay hydrated because the streets are hot. Don't forget as well, grab your water bottle as well, okay? Stay hydrated with me. All right, let's get over it. All right, cool. Let's get into this video now. Clubhouse is killing my people, I put here. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because it's not necessarily Clubhouse. It's simply social media. We're in a day and age where the millennials, like myself, have very much been brought up with technology. And over the years, the technology has increased, has grown. The social media platforms have also grown and given us another way of interacting with other fellow human beings. And that's not just in your local area, but around the globe. And that means now that people who are across the seas have access to you 24/7. 24/7. That's a big jump from times past where people didn't have that kind of access to you. But now with social media, things like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you have an access to somebody all the time. You don't need a number. Beforehand, the way to access somebody would be their number, okay? Just a few years ago. Now that access is not, I don't need your number. I just need your Snapchat, Insta, Twitter, Clubhouse, Facebook, whatever you can think of. That's a method of contact for somebody else to you. Okay, these are touch points. All right. And so what's really interesting about relationships now is that social media has created this sense of number one, immediate access, but number two, also as well, it creates some level of discomfort and sometimes insecurity in people through the comparisons that people make on those platforms. And what it also does is it gives people this false sense of having unlimited options and feeling like they're consistently being desired because of the fact that they're being celebrated on the net. Right, we seek for moments of desirability, we seek for moments of validation with our statuses and stuff like that, and it makes us feel good in those moments. And what that does is it puts dents in our relationships because we focus more on trying to get external validation than focusing on our relationships right now. Okay, social media can help fester distrust. Now we're having to think about, okay, if I double click on a picture, is that something that's against my partner? Whereas, the double click is almost like the look that you make when you're out on the street, right? You see a girl, you look at her, she's a good looking girl, like you might look a second time, like, do you know what I'm saying? And you previously nobody else would have known, but now you're on social media, you're double clicking, you're liking the photo, and that sends a message to your partner that, hey, this is what he likes, right? And it may not be the full message what you're sending, but now it seems like that's the message you're sending. So distrust, it makes people feel like they're missing out on the next best thing. I feel like you're missing out on the next best thing. You're missing out on the news. You're missing out on some type of gossip. You're missing out on some type of Clubhouse talk or a social media conversation. You're missing out on all these different things. And they create this sense of urgency to want to always be plugged in. But if you're plugged in, you can't really be plugged into your relationship as much. If you're consistently plugged into social media, you're putting all your effort and energy into that space, you're going to struggle to put that into your relationship. Okay? Cool. So here's the thing. The difference here is that Jamile and Deborah, Jamile is obviously on Clubhouse, but I think he uses some of it for financial increase as well, right? He does a lot of stuff around Clubhouse. They do stuff that gets them money. And so that, therefore, now it's no longer social media, it's now a job. And this is where the lines begin to blur, and the new generation are beginning to struggle with these lines because we're merging everything. Whereas your work used to be the brick and mortar of where you go to and you physically do it. Now your work can be online. You could be in your home, but be at work. You can be on literally at your work desk 24/7 or at any time, a point in the day or the night, and you can make money, right? And you can do that literally by interacting with people. And suddenly now the lines become blurry. Because now your whole job is centered around having conversations or having some type of relationships with somebody else, and that can create a distrust. In fact, I would say if you're not strong, if you're not secure in yourself, this might not be the kind of person you want to date. This might not be the kind of person you want to date. Now, you heard in that video where Deborah spoke about, she spoke and said, obviously, look, that friend that you've made on Clubhouse, Christina. And he goes on to explain. Let's watch a little bit more of the clip and you see what I mean.
You left the room to read the text message.
That's what you think.
Okay, so who's Christina?
Okay, let's explain who Christina is. Christina, okay, yes, I met her off Clubhouse, correct. Cool. But we do something called Moderation TV. That's like a game show that we do on Clubhouse. It's pretty fun. She's one of the members on my team. And I've explained to Deborah, like, Christina's it's platonic, and we're just cool. Like, we talk about stuff regarding Clubhouse, how we're gonna run the show, what's next planned, what's planned after.
Now, the conversation that they're having at the moment, she's quite annoyed because this new friend that he's found, Christina, she so much calls. He's saying that's not a new friend, that's somebody I work with as a client. I mean, that's a person I work with as one of my colleagues, right? But the problem here is obviously because, again, we don't see physical brick and mortar and the person going physically to a building. It's like, colleague, what do you mean? But it is his colleague because that's who he's working with. That's who he's collaborating with. So it becomes a colleague as such. But you heard her say about her feelings there, which is that why is it now suddenly when you take her call, you got to go outside, or you got to write her a text, you got to go outside. I'm going to put Deborah aside because I do believe some of her controlling and some of her attitudes are insecure. But obviously, once we find out what obviously happened in the end, we can kind of give a little bit of a pass, right? But still, I believe those particular behaviors that she has are irrespective of what he did. It's more to how she feels. Now, in regards to obviously walking out the room, and I've seen this before, and it always does end more time or not, does end up being about cheating. And the reason why is because what's happening is when you have to leave the room, what you're actually saying is this conversation, I can't put it in front of you because I'm going to say something that you wouldn't approve of. Sorry about that, my throat. I'm going to say something that you naturally wouldn't approve of. And so now the conversation goes outside, but what's happening is you're beginning to separate yourself from your partner and you're emotionally putting yourself in a space where you're connecting with somebody else in mystery. You begin to connect to somebody in darkness. You begin to connect to somebody behind the scenes, right? And what that creates is this distrust. Because it's like, why can't you share that with me? Why are you hiding from me? Right? And so he may see it as, oh no, I just went to the toilet, but she's going to see it as, no, you took your phone when you got a text and went to the toilet. I mean, the most obvious thing to do, I mean, obviously here is that you know, you can take the calls in front of her. Like, unless your work is to do with things like, you know, counseling, where you have to keep certain information to yourself, then fair enough. But if you're just doing Clubhouse stuff, where you're talking about conversations that you're going to have, and you're going to put on an event, you can share that with your girl. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? And when I say share, it doesn't mean she has to be there every single time. It just means that she should be able to say, hey, what's your phone? Let me see your phone. Let's see what the messages are. And it should be clean. She shouldn't be asking for that. But what I'm saying is, if she did, it should be clean, because all you're discussing with a colleague is work stuff, right? But he didn't want to give up his phone. And the reason why he didn't want to give up his phone is not because of Christina, it's because of his ex, right? So there's some key questions you want to start asking yourselves in this relationship, right? Because it's very complicated sometimes. You want to ask this real question of yourself and of your partner. What behavior on social media makes you feel uncomfortable? Describe to your partner, or to yourself first, so you know where it is, and then to your partner, what behaviors on social media, not necessarily with your partner, but what behaviors in general make you feel uncomfortable. This is very, very important, so we know what you don't like, right? Because some people are cool with a double tap on Instagram. Some people are not. Some people don't mind you commenting on someone's on a photo. Some people do not like it. Okay, right? And then you want to explain how much of an impact does social media usage and the behaviors on social media have on you and the relationship. If this is something you're going through, you want to ask that question: how much of an impact does this social media usage or behaviors on it have on you and the relationship? Describe that for that person. Let them understand it, right? Number 3, you know, be honest with yourself, and your partner should also be honest too. What things do you say that may crop up as being uncomfortable, or may even signify the wrong thing? For instance, some people are really cool with this, saying babe. Now, not everyone takes babe as being something serious. Some people say babe, and it's not nothing deep. But have you discussed maybe this particular word before? Have you discussed it? Hey, maybe, do you know what? I use the word babe. Are you cool with that? I say hun. Is that okay? Is that not okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about being able to understand where we're coming from. So it's about being able to explain and put across your side and say, hey, this is how I actually am. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what because, you know, people use words like babe all the time, and it's nothing deep. And someone else like babe, what are you saying babe for? Right? So it's about discussing those kind of things so everybody knows where they stand. Okay. Number 4, this is a question. This is more of an observation and more of a statement for you personally. Do not misabuse the trust that you've been given by searching through phone and going onto their laptop and breaking in with a password code and stuff like that to monitor their social media. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not good for your mental health, and it's not good for your relationship in the long run. But regardless of if you're right or wrong, it's going to cause an issue that's irreparable. Right? It's going to produce a tear in that relationship that's irreparable, because now the trust has been broken to a point where it's like, you would do that for me? That person now will always be thinking you would do that. It never goes away, right? So before you do irrevocable damage, right, let's slow down. Okay, let's slow down. Don't abuse the trust you've been given, right, by going through their phone. Next thing is this. Discuss what boundaries you would like and some ground rules that you'd like to implement going forward. What are some of the boundaries, or, you know, the ground rules that you would like to implement going forward? Because obviously you stated, okay, this is what's going to work for you, this is what's not going to work for you, right? So state it. Let the person know. Discuss what boundaries look like to you, so they know exactly what you are expecting, so they don't disappoint your expectation. All right. You know, and potentially as well, let the person know what constitutes to illegal communication and what are the consequences of dibbling and dabbling in this particular thing. And then the consequences doesn't mean I'm going to leave. It means consequences as in how would that affect you if they continued in this vein and this fashion? How would that affect you going forward if they kept on doing what they were doing through social media? Look, social media is a very powerful tool. It's an amazing tool. It helps us connect with people we would never be connected with. But we have to use it responsibly. That because it's also his job, right? Because it's also his job, it can become very difficult to actually just police that in a more, don't be on social media this long, or, I don't be on social media at 1 a.m. because it's part of his job. Like, for instance, I'm doing YouTube now. It's almost 12 o'clock, right? And I'm going to do a live for the next 4 hours, right? I'm going to have women on there. Now, if I had a partner and they weren't comfortable with me doing lives at 4 a.m., I'm like, babe, that's my job. You know what I mean? That's my job. Now, but here's a compromise. What are some ground rules? What are some things that you say that are unwise for me to be participating in? If somebody messages me for the live, how should I respond? Is it like if they hit me up in the DMs, if a person I don't know hits me up in the DMs, how should I approach it? Like there's conversation that should be had between partners. I know it seems small and trivial when you say that, but honestly, it's a very big thing because people don't talk, right? So I'm gonna leave it there. It was a nice short one. We'll do a proper review coming in towards the weekend for you guys. But this was just a little bit of coaching as well. If you want to be coached by myself, listen, reach down below. Listen, littleblackbird91gmail.com. I see a few of you have reached out to me already. If you want to have some coaching, whether you're single, dating, or married, we want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? We want to help you. We want to coach you. We want to be able to help you have a healthier relationship going forward. Guys, listen, stay hydrated. Grab your bottle down below. Like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you soon. Appreciate you guys.